nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert on guns. Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. You know what uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
All right, what's up, gang? How's everybody doing? I'm Boston Brian. Welcome back to Blunt Politics. I really do appreciate your time, your energy, your passion, and you defending democracy every single day, whether it's here or in other podcasts, watching other live streams, supporting other creators. I don't care where it is. I really do appreciate your time and your energy. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Subscribe to the channel if you do find yourself liking what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, if you're liking the people in the chat and the community that we've built here. Please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000. We're also trying to get to 1,000 members, which you can sign up for just underneath me. It goes a long way. You can also donate some memberships in that regard as well, or you can just do the normal super chat, super sticker that way. And you can sign up at patreon.com/Boston Brian. So lots to talk about today. Oh boy, that speech. A lot of people having their reactions to that speech last night. I'm not even sure. Can you call that a speech? Can we call that a fucking speech? I mean, literally people thought we were like going to war. People thought it was going to be an announcement of war. And clearly the only war that was taking place was the war in Donald Trump's head because nothing that the man said was true. Nothing was factual. Nothing was correct. Everything was a lie. So we'll be digging into some reaction. We got Lawrence O'Donnell's reaction to that. We'll be checking in with the fact checks from that as well. And then I want to dive into some of the right-wing reaction so we can kind of, again, juxtapose the, people with a brain and, a head on top of their shoulders and how they reacted to this. And then again, to how the right-wing media propaganda arm of this administration is trying to, again, react to the same thing. We have Newsmax, Greg Kelly from Newsmax, and then one from Fox and Friends as well. We'll also be diving into Megyn Kelly has a short clip here on her reaction to the Vanity Fair article, and I just want to dive into a couple minutes of that. And then we got a Midas Touch video here talking about how MAGA Mike Johnson wants to kill Americans, basically how he tried and is attempting to shut down the House, stopping the vote, but basically losing control of the House now that several members of his own party have signed on to this resolution to make sure that we at least get a vote on the ACA like we were promised. But yeah, we got a Midas Touch video on that, and then a few things pertaining to Ukraine as well. So, like I said, lots to get into. I appreciate you joining me. It is December 18th, 2025, and I wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday season, whatever holiday it is that you celebrate. So, what do you say we dive into it? Let's get into it here. Oh yeah, not only that, but there was also some more Epstein photos released. So, let's tackle that first. Let's tackle that story first here, and I'll throw that on the screen. So there were more photos released from the Epstein estate, released by, this says by the BBC News, released by Democratic U.S. lawmakers here. So I believe there was 60-something pictures in total that were kind of released in this tranche. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that number, but that's just, I believe the number that I heard reported. But what do you say we dive into, again, this kind of short BBC clip, taking a look at these photos, telling us how they came out, where they came from, who's in them, that type of stuff, and then we'll kind of move on from here. But yes, more photos have been released by the Epstein estate. So let's see if we can dive into that. Thank you once again, guys. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Thank you for joining me. Hit that like button. All right, let's dive into it. And thank you, mods, by the way. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Best chat on earth. Best chat on earth. Let's go.
to that breaking news. The Democrats on the U.S. House Oversight Committee making public more photos from the Epstein estate, 68 images in total. Let me take you to the live page that the BBC has running on the website as we scroll.
Noam Chomsky, man. Just a lot of people, a lot of people having some, some serious doubts about what they used to think about that man, right? I mean, Jesus H. Christ. Talk about catching strays in this one that were absolutely justified strays. Like, I've never seen a stray bullet take out somebody that was supposed to be in, but absolutely deserved to catch those strays. Unreal.
Through that, and just one of the latest pictures to go up there. There it is, Noam Chomsky.
This is Noam with Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, it looks like they're on the jet.
The 97-year-old professor and public intellectual who has previously appeared in Epstein-related documents. And just a reminder, as we show these photographs, it is always worth remembering there is no suggestion that appearing in the photos implies any wrongdoing, but these some of the images that have been.
It's amazing to me, and I kind of called out CNN for making similar stipulations. I mean, don't they think it's obvious? Like, I know they're trying to, save their ass from ramifications. I know, like, the BBC in particular, and obviously American media outlets are worried about the retribution, the lawsuits from Donald Trump. Yada, yada, yada. But it's just so frustrating that they think we're so dumb, or they're so fucking frightened about lawsuits by just reporting on clear and obvious things. Just, that's all it is. You're just reporting on what the pictures, who's in the picture. That's all. Nobody's saying here that this is like clearly showing that Noam Chomsky received a massage by an underage girl. Like that, is that possible? That could have happened? Absolutely. Do these pictures prove that? Is that what we're looking at here? No. Like, I hate how they treat us like fucking children, and they're so worried about these lawsuits. It's like, just shut up and report on the shit.
Released in the last half an hour. Also watching all of this is our North America correspondent, Nomia Iqbal in Washington. And Nomia, just tell us a little more about some of the images that you've seen so far.
Yeah, so just to sort of recap what you said there, this has been released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, and it's the latest in a series of photos. They've been, I would say, drip feeding the public, and it's fueled this huge political intrigue about exactly who was associated with the convicted sex offender. And so we've got the batch of 68 photographs, just having a look at them. They're
so clearly here on the screen, just in case you're just listening to this, is Jeffrey Epstein surrounded by, let's say, 3 girls/women, hard to tell their age because their faces are blacked out, which would suggest either them being underage or being direct victims of Jeffrey Epstein here. So again, another picture that hasn't been graced on the internet before, as far as I've seen.
Passports, maps, text message, screenshots. There's photos of very well-known people in there. So
there's another one with Steve Bannon. This looks like that same meeting that we saw a picture from a different angle at. That was the picture that, as you can see here by Steve Bannon's left wrist. Look at Steve Bannon's left wrist. You can see that little, that little black spot there. Well, that's what everybody got those close-up pictures of Jeffrey Epstein's desk, and it looked like it was a young girl passed out on a couch or a love seat or a sofa or something like that on one of these pictures in front of Jeffrey's desk, and I believe that's the one right there, right by his left wrist, right where my mouse is, right there, right? And are these vapes? What are these? What are these colored things here? Are those the fucking vapes or something? I'm not even sure. But anyway, that's pretty much how, from the different angle of this same meeting with Steve Bannon, that's how people were kind of zooming in on these other ridiculous and sick pictures that Jeffrey Epstein has just kind of displayed on his fucking office desk, which is, goes to show you the mindset of these people. And again, the people meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, seeing these pictures on his desk, wouldn't that give you cause for concern? Isn't that where the red flags go up, right? If you're supposed to be this like intellectual, if you're supposed to have a high IQ, if you're a CEO, you run multiple corporations, aren't you supposed to have like a better fucking detection system on you? Or are you that stupid and unaware and blinded by money, corruption, and greed that the picture of the passed out underage girl sitting on his desk is just nothing for you? It's not enough for you to get the fuck up and walk out of that guy's house. Hard to imagine. That could go through somebody's head.
Got you've
And again,
also
just for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of scroll through just so we can see the pictures. Here's Epstein with another woman / girl. Again, hard to tell what the age is here by these pictures because of the faces are blurred out. But again, suggesting either underage or a direct victim in this case. Let's see here. We go on. Here's another one that people were talking about. Looks like you can see the book Lolita in the background, and then a woman's foot apparently that says has some writing on it. It says she was low, playing low in the morning, standing 4 feet 10 in one sock. And forgive me, I don't know if that's a reference to something inside of that book Lolita, or if that is just a secondary aspect of the picture of that book. I'm not really sure what that is referencing. But again, one of the other pictures to come out here, she was Lola in slacks. So again, I'm going to suggest just by what this says that it is a reference to something in the book. But that's, again, just my guess, having not read the book. But again, this is another one, looks like written on somebody's skin. She was Lola in slacks. And then it goes on here. Here's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein's passport. Looks like this one expires 7 March 2029. So it's still technically, I don't know if it's technically now active, considering he's no longer on the planet. But, if he was around, it still would be active. Another one of those pictures is that picture again. Let's go back. They keep showing that one. There's another one of Noam Chomsky. Same one of Steve Bannon. Here's another one. I think we saw this one. Looks like Woody Allen, Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm unfamiliar. This guy looks very familiar, but it's kind of blurry.
with what the
So I'm not really sure who that is. Let's keep going on. Looks like they're going through the same set of pictures here on this BBC clip. So we could probably, let me see if they show any other pictures here. I think there was a few more. I think I remember seeing a Ukrainian passport as well. Let me see if I can look up just the pictures themselves. So new Epstein pics. Images. Oh. No, I just want the photos. I don't want the videos. 6 days ago? No, not 6 days ago. Here we go. Let me throw this on the screen. Here's from Axios. Let's see what they got in there. Oversight Democrats released Secretary Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the full archive. Let's go to the full archive. But you got to pay for Axios? Is Axios paid? Let's see here. Previous images, Bill Clinton. Did Jeffrey Epstein, Clinton with Dems. Show some of the photos here. Can I see the photos? Share this tab instead. All right, here we go. So here are the photos here released by the House Oversight Committee. Let's see here. How do you scroll through them? Oh, there you go. No, it wasn't letting me do it before. All right. So can we just go picture to picture? So here's another one. Looks like something written on a woman's chest. Lolita, the tip of the tongue, taking a trip of the 3 steps down. Can't see what that says. Down the palate to tap at 3 on the teeth. Jesus, this shit is just fucking really dark and sick, huh? Really dark and sick. How do you go back? Here, we can go through the pictures like this, I guess. Here's that one that we saw already. We saw that one already. She was Dolly at school, written on a girl's neck. This looks like written down somebody's spine. She was something. She was Dolores on the dotted line. She was something on the dotted line. And then here's Epstein's picture again. This is here. Can we zoom in on it? How can you zoom in on it? Let's see here. This says the bearer was convicted of a sex offense against a minor and is a convicted sex offender pursuant to 22 United States section. Oh, so that's a section in his passport, in Epstein's passport there. Okay, yeah, here's the Russian passport I saw, and I also believe I saw a Ukrainian passport. And I'm assuming this is going to be related to one of, if not a lot of the victims, considering we know a lot of them were of, Eastern European descent. So here is a Russian Federation passport. Obviously, the information blacked out. Here is one from Morocco. Is this from Morocco? Is that what it says? Royaume de Maroc. Surname. They got the surname there. Passport. Number of entries. Days. I'm assuming that's Morocco. I'm not 100% certain. Somebody correct me in the chat if it's not. Let's see if we can go on to the next one. Again, there was 68 of these pictures. Here's somebody from Italy. Another identification card looks like from somebody from Italy. Here's another one from the Czech Republic. South Africa identification card. Here's the one from Ukraine that I saw. Obviously, the information blacked out. Here's another one from Ukraine. Lithuania. Here's Noam Chomsky. Bill Gates with somebody depicted. Can you guys see this? Hold on. Let me go to the. Make sure that you guys can see that. I was just making sure. If I was going through all these and you guys couldn't see it, I'd be pissed. So that's Bill Gates again with what looks to be the same. I mean, that's an uncomfortable looking. That's uncomfortable body language. I mean, I'm no body language expert, ladies and gentlemen, but can we all agree that like the hands crossed off like that as Bill Gates has his hand, around the back? Not sure which way his hand's going, up or down, but that looks like somebody, a woman, or possibly a girl that is very closed off, very not comfortable with the situation, right? That's kind of how I would read into that. If you kind of gave me this picture and said, all right, kind of, what do you see? What do you see? What's standing out in this one? And then, you go on to the next picture. And again, she's doing that like, we're posing, but I'm kind of leaning away at the same time. Like I want to make it seem like we're close, but hold on, let me like move my head away for like not to be too close kind of thing. This looks to be Woody Allen, Jeffrey Epstein, unfamiliar with who's in the background. Here's Jeffrey Epstein here. Not sure. Somebody said on the corner here, it says, quote, David Brooks comment. Somebody's commenting on the pictures. I'm not sure. Is this David Brooks? See if we can, David Brooks, excuse me, if we can confirm in the chat there. Here's another one of the same gentleman, Jeffrey Epstein again. Another younger gentleman, not sure who that is. Not sure who that is. Not sure who that is. Same guy, same gentleman. Here's a prescription for phenozopyridine. Take one tablet by mouth daily every 8 hours. Not sure what that's from. New York, though. Here's a Palm Beach County Sheriff Office, Department of Corrections inmate request from, it says, love of my life. I wanted you to know something pulling you by the hair. Jesus, it's all just strange shit related to these people. This looks like some, I don't know, fucking meeting. Like this is like the planning meeting for how to hold the massages or something. Fucking sickos. Again, I'm not sure. Somebody commented, the fuck were they doing what the fuck were they all doing math for? Is that other picture we talked about? Is that other picture we saw? Jeffrey Epstein cooking with somebody. Jeffrey Epstein dressed in Middle Eastern attire. Jeffrey Epstein paying his respects to, it looks like somebody else in a Middle Eastern, on his Middle Eastern trip. Here he is again with Steve Bannon. And you can see again the pictures, that were blacked out on the desk there. Steve Bannon again, Steve Bannon again, Steve Bannon again, Steve Bannon again. Here's that meeting we looked at. Somebody says Woody Allen and Ehud Barak. Is that David fucking Blaine? Is that who that is? Is that David Blaine on the left? It looks like him, right? Am I crazy? Or is that David Blaine? We go on. Epstein again. Epstein with the cops, which is disturbing. Is that while he's in? Almost looks like that's while he's serving his time because he's in sweatpants, a jumper, and some fucking slippers. Another one of those pictures. More from his island, I would assume, or more from his trips, maybe. That's the island. Oh, there's St. James. St. James, planning for his island, planning for the island, planning for the island, planning for the island. All right, and that's all of them. So, all right, those were the 68 new pictures put out by the House Committee on Oversight there. So, just to kind of keep everybody up to speed, let everybody know, and just so you know as much as I do and know as much as has been released up until this point. Obviously, tomorrow, I believe, is supposed to be the actual deadline for Pam Bondi and the DOJ to again lie to the American people like we know they're going to, and to definitely withhold more information than they're legally allowed to withhold. But again, this being released by the Epstein estate and the Democrats, they don't have that power to hold that back. So again, that's why I have the option and the power and the ability to show you that. But what do you say we move on to, again, speaking of accountability and justice, and just the most ridiculous shit that we've seen. Donald Trump's speech last night. No, I'm not going to play any of the speech. We watched more than enough last night. Again, we kind of jumped into it last night thinking it was going to be some substantial announcement, thinking he was going to have some announce some military action as it pertains to Venezuela, perhaps. And again, it was very clear very quickly that this was just more ramblings. It was basically a televised screaming match, a televised Adderall fueled true social post is all it was. But this is Lawrence O'Donnell reacting to that. And I just want to play Lawrence's kind of first couple minutes of his show reacting to Trump's speech, and then we'll do the quick fact check. And we're not going to go through the whole thing because we'd be here for 2 years, but just to show you the extent of the lies that somebody could tell, that it's possible to tell in 20 minutes. I just want to show you that. And then after that, we'll juxtapose, Lawrence O'Donnell, somebody that we respect, somebody with a head on his shoulders, somebody clearly knows what he's talking about in this regard, has been at this for a long time too. People like Greg Kelly and people like, the propagandists on Fox News, and how it's possible that we could, as Americans, be living in two totally different realities, how we could both watch and see and hear the same exact person say the same exact thing at the same exact time, but when what we take away from that is so drastically different, is so drastically separated from one another. Like, that's something we have to discuss. Like, how is it possible? That's what I want to know. So let's dive into here. Lawrence's reaction from again to Trump's ridiculous, I guess, State of the Union-like address last night. I don't know what you want to call it, but again, I call it just basically a televised Truth Social post with some Adderall fueled behind it, basically. That's all it was. All right, let's dive into this.
Well, at the end of a day that began with David Remnick asking the question in the New Yorker, have you ever in your life encountered a character as wretched as Donald Trump? Donald Trump delivered that
answer
character.
No. And I made that point yesterday, especially what like Susie Wiles was saying. It's like, I don't know what fucking alcoholics, I don't know what heavy drinkers Susie Wiles been hanging out with her entire life, but I have never, as an Irish guy coming from the South Boston area and having been in and around alcohol for quite some time, and probably more than most on the planet, I've never, ever, ever myself been drunk enough or seen anybody drunk enough that made them act or say or do anything in lines of what Donald Trump has ever said, done, or been responsible for. Nothing, never, ever. So I don't know what the fuck. I know he supposedly doesn't drink, but what alcoholic Susie Wiles is hanging out with, I don't know. But she needs to find better ones to hang out with, apparently.
To millions of Americans tonight in a 15-minute shouted speech from the White House. Donald Trump's shouting seems to indicate he has not yet learned how microphones actually work. America's worst public speaker struggled mightily reading a teleprompter full of lies tonight. His speech, if we can call it that, in it, Donald Trump said that when he took office, quote, inflation was the worst in the history of our country. That is a lie, a typical Trump lie. Inflation was at 3% when Donald Trump took office. Inflation is at 3% right now. Donald Trump said that when he took office, we had, quote, transgender for everybody. That would mean that Donald Trump is transgender. That would mean that everybody is transgender. It is, of course, Trumpian madness. We did not have transgender for everybody. Donald Trump said, I was elected in a landslide. That is a lie. Donald Trump won by 1.5% of the vote. Donald Trump said they released violent felons, meaning the Biden administration. No president in history has released more violent felons in one day than Donald Trump did on his inauguration day when he pardoned every violent felon who attacked the Capitol on January 6th for him, to try to overturn a presidential election for him. Donald Trump said that tariffs is, quote, my favorite word. Donald Trump lied when he said we made a lot more money because of tariffs. We didn't make any money because of tariffs. America made no money because of that. The Trump tariffs paid to the United States Treasury have all been paid in the United States by Americans. The federal government has simply taken money away from Americans through the Trump tariffs. Americans have had to take money out of their pockets to pay for the Trump tariffs in this country. This is the first time that Donald Trump made a public reference to tariffs without telling the lie that foreign countries pay his tariffs. And Donald Trump lied about the Democrats, saying Democrats are demanding increases in health insurance costs. Donald Trump delivered his speech.
I mean, I think that was probably one of the most blatant lies. I mean, considering the government was just shut down for I don't know how long, you know, because we were fighting for the American people to retain their, you know, their access to health insurance so that their, you know, so their insurance costs don't go up exponentially like they are right now, you know.
In a monotone anger, he seemed to be angry at the truth. Joining us now for the Democratic response is the Democratic leader of the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries.
And again, I don't really too much care what we got. If you saw it, you know what the hell, you had the same response. But I just want to, again, play what a level-headed, normal, typical response would be to what we saw last night, if you saw it. And then I want to juxtapose that. But before I do, let's dive into this, because this is the full CNN fact check that we were waiting for last night. We saw a little clip of it from Daniel Dale last night, but this was the full one. And this, again, was updated about 24 minutes ago. And it says, fact check, Trump repeats numerous false claims in primetime address, to say the least. And we're not going to go through them all, but I'm just going to scroll slowly down through this. And I want you to recognize that this was a 22 minutes or something like that. He was on there for what, between 20 and 25 minutes. The United States president spoke, and this is the amount of fact checking that needed to be done with the inflation and the economy. Okay, it keeps going. We'll just keep going. You know what I mean? And he lied about inflation under Biden. Talking about the numbers was wrong about every single one of those numbers. Talking about inflation was wrong. The federal figures, he was wrong. Grocery prices, he was wrong. CPI figures, he was wrong. Egg prices, he claims he was right about basically one aspect of it without talking about other aspects of groceries, which he claims is a new word. So they kind of gave him half credit on that one. Prescription drug prices, quite literally said something that was not physically possible, not mathematically possible to do. He promised the American people. Gas prices, investments in the United States, as you just heard discussed in that last clip, immigration and foreign policy, Trump ending wars. Again, this is in 20 to 25 minutes. Migration in the Biden administration, migration now. I mean, it's crazy. Still going. Other topics. Oh, Trump's bill on Social Security, Biden crime and law enforcement. Democrats in healthcare. It keeps going. Coal. 25 fucking minutes, dude. 25 minutes. How is that possible? What did he say that was true? I think by accident he may have gotten the eggs thing right. You know what I mean? By accident. Like, it's unfucking believable. And then to hear reactions like this, right? Going from what you just saw, that complete page of fact checks that needed to be done, into a 20-minute speech by the president. And again, not surprising, knowing that he told, 30,000 plus lies in the first administration. So I guess this was probably like right on track with that. Like, this is probably the pace he needed to keep up in order to, again, break that first term record, which I'm sure he's going for. But this is Fox and Friends talking about how, quote unquote, the media unravels over Trump's primetime address, quote unquote, slop. So obviously, and again, I wanted to dive into this with you. I'm assuming that they're going to defend this. I'm assuming that they're going to mock the reaction while also trying to say it was a great speech. I'm confused. And then after this, we have Greg Kelly from Newsmax with a short clip. I'm assuming trying to do the same thing. But again, to what you know about what happened in the speech, what he said in the speech, the amount of lies, what we've heard from the fact checkers, what you heard from Neil, from O'Donnell there, from Lawrence. I mean, just put that together and then listen to what you're hearing from the Republican side of things. Again, the propaganda arm of the Republican Party. Okay, put that together. Here we go.
Left-wing media commentators, unsurprisingly, not fans of President Trump's primetime address. Listen.
This is the first time we've seen a Donald Trump. He sounded a little scared. He sounded a little nervous. I don't know. Maybe he was just going too fast.
Oh, man, that was like a manic Gish gallop, if anybody ever did high school debate.
The president seemed like he was shouting at times. He seemed a little angry. Like, why do I have to give this speech?
Joining us now to react is senior writer for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor Joe Concha here to react to the reaction. Joe, what did you think about that commentary regarding President Trump's speech last night?
And notice how what they're doing here. They're not talking about. They don't want his commentary on Donald Trump's speech, right? That still may come. I'm not saying it's not. But the first question they want to know is how they can attack liberal media or what they view as liberal media. What do they think about the reaction to it? Not what do you think about the actual speech itself. What do you think about the reaction to it? You know what I mean? That's how they frame this stuff. Let's not actually address the issue. Let's not actually address some of the things that were said. Let's address the reaction and how over the top and crazy liberals.
Carly, it's Groundhog Day again. I mean, the analysis that we see with any major address made by President Trump almost seems to be predetermined, pre-written. It's always going to be negative.
Because he's a dementia-riddled moron. Because we've seen him in the public eye long enough. We've seen him at the fucking podium enough times. He's been president for long enough to know what's going to be said, or at least along the lines of what's going to be said, right? There's going to be a lot of lies, a lot of propaganda, a lot of bullshit, a lot of fucking, self-appreciation, back-patting. There's going to be a lot of fucking, corruption. There's going to be a lot of that stuff. So it's not that hard to figure out what's going to come from one of Donald Trump's speeches. So to say that it's like predetermined, don't blame us. Blame the guy that says and does the same fucking thing every time he's in front of a camera.
Case with Van Jones, it's pushing this weird and inaccurate narrative that we've seen lately, that Trump has lost his fastball, that he appears tired. And now in this case,
I'm sorry. Have you not seen the pictures of him fast asleep in meetings with a shitload of people in the room? Have you missed that? I mean, again, to even suggest that it's like hyperbolic reporting or hyperbolic rhetoric to suggest that Donald Trump has lost his fastball and is like tired, I think it's pretty easy for us to pull up several examples and ways to corroborate that statement, not least of which him sleeping at meetings or at fucking events or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Like, pretty clear that he's lost his fastball and his grip on MAGA. That's what, I mean, everybody's saying the same thing.
That he looks nervous. Donald Trump has done more public speaking than any human in history.
No, you moron. What an absolute twatbag this guy is. No, he's not nervous. He's not nervous in terms of speaking. Van Jones wasn't saying he was nervous to get up there in front of the American people like he was nervous to do the public speaking. He was nervous because of his polling numbers. He was nervous because of what he's hearing from the American people, the anger, the frustration. He's nervous because the prices are going up instead of down like he promised. He did this speech. This whole thing was planned and done because he was nervous about his position as president. Not nervous as in like, oh, am I going to do well in the speech type of shit. He doesn't give a fuck about that. So again, they're trying to misrepresent what Van Jones, and again, I'm no fucking fan of Van Jones, nor do I like having to sit here and kind of defend or explain for what he had to say. But when Fox News blatantly misrepresents, and I think purposefully misrepresents what other media outlets are saying about Donald Trump, so they can kind of give this ridiculous critique on again, something that they weren't talking about, it has to be called out. And I think rightly so here. Obviously, we're not saying that he was like, nervous as in, how's he going to do at, in his public speaking. He was nervous of his standing on the as president with the American people, like seeing what's going on with these recent elections where the Democrats have completely overperformed in a ton of areas in this country, whether it's red districts, whether it's north, south, east, or west. We've seen the Democrats overperform, whether it's, the reaction to his, dealings with Venezuela, whether it's the reactions of the American people to what's happening with ICE continuously. We just saw recently, the video of the pregnant woman being dragged around. I believe it was in Chicago. Forgive me if I have that wrong, but, pretty recent video of ICE dragging a pregnant woman through the streets, through the snow. People are pissed off about that, rightly fucking so. So he's nervous about those things. He's nervous politically, not nervous about getting up in front of the fucking camera. So again, misrepresentation by Fox News.
And now suddenly, after thousands upon thousands of moments of speaking to a camera, we're being told that he looks scared. I mean, it is unbelievable that these people get paid good money to provide this slop on national television.
Hold on. No, okay. I for some reason I thought a lightning bolt was going to come down and actually strike this man dead from hypocrisy. Did you hear what he just said? He's on Fox News, the biggest propaganda media corporation on the fucking face of the planet, with the biggest hacks and scumbags and low IQ, low information reporters. And he says this.
On thousands of moments of speaking to a camera, we're being told that he looks scared. I mean, it is unbelievable that these people get paid good money to provide this slop on national television.
It is unbelievable that people get paid good money to provide this amount of slop on national television. Said on Fox News. Oh, wowzers. Said on Fox News again. How the good Lord that they believe in didn't strike him dead there with a lightning bolt, I don't know.
But here we are, Todd. Go figure.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're 100% right. They were going to say this, and we always use that same hackneyed analogy. But if Donald Trump went up there and listed all the ways that we were going to cure cancer for kids, they would have the same speech.
I mean, he bombed Iran. I don't think that this speech,
yeah, exactly.
This teleprompter speech to the nation is something that caused him any fear or consternation.
I'm sorry, what? Do you think Donald Trump was in the fucking planes? I'm sorry. Are you trying to I don't know. Are you trying to say that Donald Trump has courage because he gave or signed an order to send other men and women into harm's way? And again, total misrepresentation of what Van Jones was saying, but that's what they're making this entire segment out to be. That, he bombed Iran. Why would he be scared to speak at a podium? Well, first off, he wasn't saying that he was scared to speak at the podium. And second of all, Donald Trump was fucking probably playing golf, snoozing, or sitting on his fucking fat ass as, again, our military service members were undertaking the bombing of Iran. I mean, it doesn't show any courage on Donald Trump's part. What the fuck?
One person, Joe, who I think we can all agree may have gotten nervous a time or two in front of the camera, Kamala Harris. Well, she's making the media rounds again, taking some own jabs at her own party and staying.
That was the coverage. That was the coverage of Donald Trump's speech, at least in this segment, at least on this show. That was the primetime coverage, the Fox News, biggest fucking news corporation in the country. That was their coverage on Fox and Friends here of Donald Trump's speech. That's how hard they dug into it. They went through the facts, right? You saw him go through all the facts and they called him out, right? That happened.
About 2028. Listen.
And now we're going to do the whataboutism portion of the Fox News programming, right? So this is, okay, now we'll make fun of the liberals without actually addressing what Donald Trump said. But now, without addressing what Donald Trump said, let's do the whataboutism. So even if Donald Trump did fuck up last night, even if he did lie, we still, okay, it doesn't matter because apparently Kamala Harris got nervous a couple times in front of the camera. And again, I'm not going to let them play that. I'm not going to let them use my show as free propaganda. So we'll go on to Greg Kelly and Newsmax. Again, this is similar programming. Newsmax trying to do their best. And listen to how this is probably even more North Korea-like, even more propagandistic than Fox News's coverage, because I forget this asshole's name on the left, but I do believe he was actually part of the Clinton administration too, if I'm not mistaken. But listen to how they summarize Donald Trump's speech, or whatever you want to call it, from last night. And again, we'll just play a couple minutes of this. We don't have to dive into too much. It's actually a pretty short and relatively short clip anyway. But yeah, this is Greg Kelly on Newsmax with two other douchebags talking and trying to defend Donald Trump's speech last night. Check this out.
Well, that was incredible, unbelievable speech.
It was a what? Did you watch we're talking about the one that Trump gave. Are you talking about the same one? Oh, did we watch the same one? Because it's even Republicans. There's even a multitude of Republicans out there being like, well, I don't know what the fuck that was. He's screaming into the mic. Nothing he said was true. He probably would have been better off not even doing anything if that's what the whole thing was about. So even Republicans having that sentiment. But meanwhile, this guy, and what he says, did they show his name yet? He looks familiar to me, but I'm just not 100% sure who he is.
Well, that was incredible, unbelievable speech. It was absolutely incredible.
It was absolutely incredible.
It was totally true.
It was totally true. It was totally true. Oh my God. Out of all things you could have said, out of all the fucking things you could have said, it was totally true. Totally 100% true. No corrections. Fucking, it's just that CNN and every other fact checker that actually did fact check it has about 3 pages of notes of all the fact checks. But this guy apparently, perfect, spot on. Everything was correct. Got all of it right.
Speech. It was absolutely incredible. It was totally true. Everything he said was an understatement or an accurate statement, and it's just a question of a time lag until everybody sees it.
Well, it's just a time lag. It's like that whole Republican stupid statement they have. It's like, everything they call everything we say conspiracy theories until 2 weeks later when they fucking see it's true, right? We're all conspiracy theorists until a month later when it's proven to be true. Like, I don't know who this asshole, Dick Morris. Yes, I knew it. I knew he worked for fucking the Clintons. I knew he looked familiar. Imagine this, former advisor to President Bill Clinton, and you'll wonder why he made some of the mistakes that he made. Oh, my Lanta. How could you possibly watch what we watch and come away with that assessment of that? How? I'm honest to God, legitimate question. Legitimate fucking question. How is that possible? Hit me in the chat. I don't know. I got nothing.
This guy isn't getting 110% of the vote. I don't know.
Why he isn't getting 110% of the vote, I don't know. Well, A, not possible, and B, have you seen anything that's happened in this second administration? I mean, we don't even have to discuss the first administration. Let's just totally focus on this second administration. Have you woken up? Did you just wake up tonight? Hello, McFly? Anybody home?
Wow. All right. Well, Dick.
Even Greg Kelly, the most sycophantic of sycophants on fucking Newsmax, a part of the, the propaganda arm that is, Trump's administration and how they use the right-wing fucking media sphere, right? Even he was like, oh, wow, holy shit. Like, I wouldn't even, fucking Christ, you sound more sycophantic than I do. Fuck. Oh.
I know a lot of these things have to, but... Rob, you said people don't want to hear about the contrast to Joe Biden, but somehow I think it worked. And
I think it worked. I mean, it was an 18-minute closing argument in the debate. Again,
it works for who? Who did it work with? Who has Greg Kelly or either of these people talked to that was like, you know what, that was fucking stellar, besides one another? And it sounds like to me that even this guy had certain critiques. Right, you can just kind of hear Greg Kelly, and of course, this is just a short portion of the segment, but you can hear that it sounded like at some point this guy had critiques on, I'm kind of obviously paraphrasing, but it sounded to me he was making the point like people don't want to hear Donald Trump blame Joe Biden anymore. We're now nearly a year into his second term. People don't want to hear it anymore. He's had ample time. He said it was going to be done way before this when he was elected. So again, people don't want to hear it. It sounds like that was kind of along the lines as to the argument that he was making, at least earlier on. But it seems like he's kind of, reverse course, and he's now cowed into, especially after hearing what fucking old Dickie Phillips or whatever the guy's name was, Dickie Morris over there, had to say.
Against Joe Biden.
Oh, sorry.
And I think he did a very good job there of reminding people, yes. But what I thought he did very well was explaining the consequences of immigration. All these illegal aliens here drove up the cost of housing. All these illegal aliens here, which is why we had to clamp down and close the border, drove up the prices. That's important to understand for people.
You know what else is fucking important to understand with this horseshit, bullshit, fucking bigoted rhetoric? I'm not fucking standing for it, because you know what they never fucking call out, these assholes? You know what these fucking assholes they never call out, and I'm sick of this, is, hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. Because nobody ever talks about how this is going on and how this affects the cost of housing. Yeah, here we go. Let me throw this on screen. Wall Street, your browser has lost connection to your screen share audio. Try sharing your screen again. Okay, hold on. Let me stop this. I'm going to stop screen. I'll put it back on there just in case anybody wants to clip this later. I know it's still on the screen. All right, let me throw this up there. Bingo. All right, so we're back. All right, Wall Street has spent billions buying homes. A crackdown is looming. It says lawmakers say investors that scooped up hundreds of thousands of houses to rent out are driving up home prices, right? And again, this is from 2024, but the situation, again, has not fucking changed all that dramatically, all that drastically. And again, nobody fucking calls this out on Fox or Fox Business. I mean, again, the hypocrisy of this all is this article is literally on Fox Business, right? I mean, that's what's the craziest about this. But they refuse to bring this up now, talking about how these corporations are going around buying up, again, hundreds of thousands of houses so that they can rent them out for exorbitant prices, or they're just sitting on empty homes, which is, again, driving down the amount of houses on the market, thus driving up the cost of the houses that are on the market, right? And again, investors of all sizes spent billions of dollars buying homes during the pandemic. In 2022, the peak, they bought more than 1 in every 4 single-family homes sold. More recently, their activity has slowed as interest rates rose and supply became tighter. 2 of the largest home buying firms, Invitation Homes and AMH, are publicly traded companies, while a number of other companies backed by private equity hold portfolios of tens of thousands of homes nationwide. Right? And again, we're still feeling the effects of that, just because it has slowed, that, this kind of particular way of doing business, I guess, has slowed, as far as this article was saying, does not mean that we're not still feeling the effects. And to blame the cost of living, to blame the housing crisis, to blame what your fucking rent costs on illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants, is pretty fucking ridiculous. And obviously you clearly don't understand how it works, considering the amount that they actually end up paying into the system without receiving any of the benefits for what they pay into the system. So taking that into account, then you can see how unjustified the arguments here by these morons.
I do think something that's going to play well next year that is really kind of unsaid, and he mentioned the 250th anniversary of the country. There's going to be a lot.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, does anybody feel like it's been the fucking 250th fucking anniversary birthday celebration of the United States for the last 250 years now? They've had more fucking rallies and fucking parades and military floats and bring the tanks in, and the fireworks and shits, like Marines and speeches. Like, how fucking long are they going to milk this shit? I've never been more... Instagram says we're having trouble streaming to Instagram. If you ended up on Instagram, this is expected. If not, and this continues, try creating a new Instagram stream. For Christ's sakes, why is everything failing? Hold on. I'll do remove. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen, as I try to get back up on Instagram. Bear with me just a moment. Should only take 2 seconds. Video. I'll do a... Oh, nope, that's not the one I want. Give me a second. So now it's probably going to be 10 seconds. So I'll do that. Public. Sorry, guys. I don't know, for some reason it disconnected me, but it just takes... It's a pain in the ass, but it just takes a second. Give me a second. Go back to StreamYard now. Now I got to go to this. I got to go to this. Implant it here. And we should be back up and running. All right, just give it a second. We should be back up on Instagram. My apologies for that, guys. But yeah, I do forget what I was just saying as in that moment, but I'm sure it wasn't that important anyway.
A lot of patriotic events next
Oh,
year.
yeah. The 250th. Great. That's what it was. The 250th. Like, does anybody else feel like we've been celebrating that for the last 10 fucking years already now? Like, Jesus Christ. I've never been so frustrated to be frustrated at something that should be, a joyous celebration, something that should be, something we all come together for, but is doing anything but for this country. You know what I mean? But all right, let's say we dive on here just again for the sake of time. We'll dive on to the next story because we're gonna do just real quick Megyn Kelly's take on the Vanity Fair. Just about a minute. I think it's about a minute of her the intro to her show, but I think it's extremely funny in the way this is. The people are reacting to the Vanity Fair article. So many different people are trying to excuse it in so many different ways and be, oh, it's not that bad. It's out of context. Meanwhile, there's actual fucking recordings of the entire thing. And then after that, we're gonna dive into this Midas Touch video. Talking about MAGA Mike Johnson shutting down the House as he loses control of his caucus, and he literally tries to strip millions of Americans from their right to having health care, or at least their access, their ability to afford that health care. So we'll dive into that next. But let's dive into this Megyn Kelly just real quick, only a couple minutes of this, and then we'll go into that one. But all right, hit that like button, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Let me start it from the beginning. And I have no idea who these other guys are. Ruthless. I'm not sure who that is. Seems like a bunch of fucking dude bros on with Megyn, but we'll check it out here.
Have you guys read this thing yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, MG.
Literally, and I say this as a golfer, it quite literally it looks like they just stepped off the 18th green. I mean, literally looks like they just were walking around trying to check out the Ryder Cup or something like that. I don't know. This is what looks like they should be doing golf commentary, not so much politics, but that's just me.
So just for the listening audience, and we'll go through it and we'll talk about all the juicy details. It's extraordinary. It was so revealing on so many fronts. I texted my team today saying, is she quitting? Is Susie Wiles quitting? Like,
I asked if she was drunk, and then I found out it was over like 11 months, which kind of doesn't rule out the fact that she was drunk at all of the interviews, but still probably a little less likely that she was that inebriated to give up all these details at every single one of the meetings. But you never know. Working with Donald Trump could and probably does tend to push people over the edge.
The kind of thing you do knowing that your days were numbered and you're kind of going to burn some bridges on the way out and you don't really give an F. But she's not quitting. She tweeted an attack on the Vanity Fair article today saying we're mission focused. We're not going to pay attention to this and that kind. But like, she talked to this guy for over a year, multiple times.
Not only that, but you can see the level of cooperation between the White House and Vanity Fair just by the level of access given to the photographer, to the reporter, the pictures that were taken, the individual pictures, the group pictures, whatever it was, the close-ups, the black and whites, the amount of time they spent on, the 11 interviews. So you can see that there was direct cooperation, direct involvement by both parties. So how it came out this fouled up is pretty, I don't know, it's beyond me how that they could be that involved with the situation from start to finish and then lose control of it that much at the end of it and not know what she said. I don't understand. I don't know. Just it right along with what this administration typically does and how they typically do things.
Double digits, I think. And there's so much. How many, Rob? 11 times. To the point where
that's a lot of boxes of Franzia. That is a lot of boxes of Franzia. To be that drunk at all 11 meetings, holy shit! I should have bought. I mean, if I was an insider, if I was a politician, let's look to see if anybody bought stock in Franzia just before these interviews started taking place. You know how you can follow Nancy Pelosi's stock trades? Does anybody buy in Franzia?
Like now, people's jaws are slack online, wondering, does she hate everyone in the administration or does she just not understand Vanity Fair? Many people
Everybody in the administration hates everybody else in the administration. That's why there's such a shit administration. None of them like each other. None of them. They're all scumbags. They're all liars. They're all actors, degenerates. right? They're all cheaters and frauds and con men. None of them trust one another. They all fucking hate each other.
Within the conservative circles think that she must have been saying these things thinking they were off the record. Now she's trying to tell the New York Times that she didn't say at least some of them, and which has forced the reporter, Chris Whipple of Vanity Fair, to provide the tape recording pieces to the New York Times showing she did say the things. So that's not the move. This guy is a respected reporter, though he works for a leftist publication.
Basically what happens here is Megyn Kelly goes in, kind of almost level-headed into this, being like, okay, it's something that you wouldn't expect her to say. Somebody who's not typically on camera, voicing her opinion, and to say these things, it clearly sounds like she hates everybody, or she thought she was getting fired, or she's quitting or whatever. Not only that, but she seems to be calling out this reporter, but the reporter has the recordings, seems to be, as she called them, a respected journalist. She calls out Vanity Fair, but she does call him a respected reporter or journalist, right? And then in the second, as soon as she throws it to these guys, they do everything they possibly can to discredit Vanity Fair, talk about how everything was out of context, give Susie Wild credit, and then Megyn Kelly all of a sudden's like, oh yeah, I agree with that. It's like, you just spent the whole intro talking about how it was pretty fucked up for her to say those things. All of a sudden now you're in agreement with, like, none of it makes sense and it was all taken out of context. Like, didn't you just say that he had all the recordings? It was all taped, every single one of them. So again, we don't need to, just to show you the different ways in which that, like, people take this and how easily they're swayed, especially when somebody else from their party or whatever it may be from their fucking echo chamber of right-wing podcast kind of disagrees or doesn't have the same thing to say. Like, they don't stick to their principles or beliefs for even 1 second. Not even one full segment does Megyn Kelly stick to her beliefs or original thoughts about this Vanity Fair article. As soon as they start talking, it's over. Okay, yeah, you're right. It's a leftist fucking publication. It's all out of context. They called Donald Trump an alcoholic, and we know he doesn't drink, so all of this must be ridiculous. It's like, no, she was comparing him, like, if you read it, like, the salaciousness of that statement was because we know, or supposedly know, he doesn't drink, and how crazy it is for the chief of staff to even, compare the current sitting president of the United States to an alcoholic, knowing what we know about what he says and his alleged, history of not drinking. That's kind of the salaciousness, not the fact that we think he's an alcoholic or she was calling him an alcoholic. That's not it. But that's what they try to use as justification to shut down this entire article, which clearly had a ton more involved in it. But, just not to get too lost in the sauce on that one, let's jump into, obviously what's extremely important happening now in today's politics and American politics, which is the talk about Americans' healthcare, the ACA, the subsidies, how much your premiums are going to go up. That whole thing, what Mike Johnson is doing to stop the vote, what Republicans are doing to join with Democrats to force a vote. So what do you say we get into this Midas Touch video here from Ben, kind of giving us the lowdown on what is the latest information coming out of the House about, again, the ACA, the vote, what Republicans are saying, what Democrats are saying. Let's get into it, because I'm sure it has a lot to do with each and every single one of you, if not a lot of you out there who, maybe under this healthcare plan yourself, or have friends or family or kids, siblings, right? Under, using this plan that have will be and can be directly affected by these premium spikes, if this is, thrown out. Mike Johnson tells everybody to go the fuck home and we don't have a vote. I mean, he's throwing a lot of Americans under the bus here. So let's check it out.
MAGA Mike Johnson has shut down the House of Representatives. He's sending all of the members home. He's saying it's time to go on an early vacation. This as he's totally lost control of the House of Representatives.
And this seems to be one of his main ploys, right? If he can't stand having his caucus in front of cameras answering questions he knows that they can't answer, right, correctly or truthfully, then just go home. Get out of Washington, stay away from the cameras, do anything but stay here and do your job. That way you don't have to be responsible, for answering these questions and looking like a fool, or in case you answer it wrong or, give the wrong statement. This is what Mike Johnson's doing here. He'd rather nobody does any work than having, Donald Trump kind of look like an asshole, or people in his own party saying bad things about Mike Johnson or Donald Trump and how they're handling this now, healthcare problem in the United States. And that's why he's doing this shit.
MAGA Republicans join forces with the Democrats to put forward a discharge petition that would force a vote for a 3-year extension on the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Certain so-called moderate Republicans, who are not all that moderate, were trying to propose different solutions in order to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies via discharge petitions. They ended up getting into a fight with each other so they could actually propose nothing. And you had Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries hold his ground and say, that's not what the American people want. They want a clean 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Meanwhile, MAGA Mike and other MAGA leadership was telling those so-called moderate Republicans that we will absolutely kill any bill, any discharge petition that has any extension at all of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. So what went down yesterday was that those 4 Republicans joined forces with the Democrats. They effectuated the discharge petition, and rather than allow it to ripen now, MAGA Mike calls a vacation. He says, we're all leaving. This way he can avoid a vote on the discharge petition to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidy.
A Weasley scumbag. Just an absolute Weasley scumbag. And how are these people supposed to go back and face their constituents who are, again, on the same fucking healthcare plans that they're now trying to make even more difficult for people to obtain? How are they supposed to go home, even if they are on their fucking little vacation or break? Like, you have to go home and look people in the face, look people in the eye and say, no, instead of doing work for the American people, instead of doing work for you and making it more affordable for you to live and more affordable to, access health care and get the proper fucking care that you deserve. No. They sent us all home, and now I'm going to sit here and have to lie to your face and tell you that, no, we were going to do this and that. It's all Democrats' fault. It's all Democrats' fault. Like, that's fucking, how Weasley and pathetic do you have to be to do all of this in order to save one man and help one man's fucking reputation, or at least what you think is helping one man's reputation?
And he wants to push it until later in January. And this assures that the Affordable Care Act subsidy extension will expire when it expires on December 31st. Folks, this is as cruel as it gets. And it gets even crueler because yesterday MAGA Mike put forward and had his Republican base support another healthcare plan that had nothing to do with extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies. But what it actually did is, in Section 202, it limited women's reproductive rights and basically stopped funding for any plans that would provide women's reproductive rights in blue states as well. So it would effectively kill women's reproductive rights in blue states or severely harm them if you were on an existing plan. So not only did MAGA Mike refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies, he took the lack of extended Affordable Care Act subsidies and said, let's screw women's reproductive rights. So MAGA Mike is running through the halls of Congress and he's saying, I haven't lost control. I haven't lost control. This, as he's lost control of the House, as those 4 Republicans were like, okay, well, if we can't support an extension.
And again, it's like one of those things where it's, if you're the Speaker of the House and at any point you're running around the Capitol being like, I have not lost the House, chances are you've lost the House, right? Like, that's one of those things you probably shouldn't be caught in a position having to say, even if you're in the position of trying to defend yourself against that position. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the president being like, no, I haven't lost the trust of the country. It's like, okay, well, if somebody's asking you if you've lost the trust of the country, then chances are you've lost the trust of the country, dude. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Of the Affordable Care Act subsidies, because MAGA Mike, you're killing it. We're going to join forces with the Democrats, and Hakeem Jeffries held his ground, and those Republicans sided with Jeffries.
And I've seen more than just Midas Touch here, Ben here from Midas Touch, giving Hakeem Jeffries credit. I think they even went as far as to give him credit on like breaking points, which again are not the biggest fans, let's just say, of Hakeem or Chuck Schumer, but gave him ample credit in this way, in this situation of handling it correctly. correctly, playing it right, and using kind of the cards that he was dealt to kind of show the American people just where the Republicans lie on this fight, right? And again, to show that Mike Johnson has, again, lost, like we're talking about here, lost control of the people in his caucus.
MAGA Mike run away right after he shuts down the House and says,
credit where, basically, short story, credit where credit is due in this one.
Everybody's going home. Here, play this clip.
Have you lost control of the House?
I have not lost control.
Because this is the third time.
There are look, we have the smallest majority in U.S. history. Okay? These are not normal times.
Whoa. You have the smallest what? No, I'm just kidding. But I'm sorry. I thought you had this overwhelming mandate. I thought Donald Trump had the biggest fucking election victory in the history of the United States. What are you talking about that you have this tiny majority? I thought, oh my God, I thought you guys had this mandate to do whatever you wanted and you didn't need the Democrats to get any of it done. You had the presidency, you had the House, you had the Senate, you got the fucking Supreme Court, you got the DOJ, the FBI. But now all of a sudden, oh geez, now all of a sudden it's a horse of a different color here. A fucking horse of a different color. Now all of a sudden, oh geez, we got the smallest majority in the history of the fucking, oh geez, man, you know, if we had more numbers, if we did better, well, I thought you did the best you possibly could do if you listen to anything Donald Trump said. So, again, a horse of a different color.
There are processes and procedures in the House that are less frequently used when there are larger majorities. And when you have the luxury of having 10 or 15 people who disagree on something, you don't have to deal with it.
Now, before MAGA Mike shut it down and you see him running in the hallways there saying, I haven't lost control. I haven't lost control. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries wrote, urgent update. Our bipartisan petition to force a vote on a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits now has 218 signatures. Mike Johnson should bring the bill to the floor immediately.
So again, this is Republicans signing on with Democrats to get now 218 signatures on this petition to force Mike Johnson to bring a floor vote immediately for the for the ACA here, which again, credit where credit is due to get these four, I believe it's 4 Republicans to sign on here to put the pressure on Mike Johnson in this situation.
Mike Johnson's response, vacation. We're all going home. We're shutting it down. Just how irresponsible, how immature, and how dangerous that is, right? And just think about it, though. In the past 3 weeks, there's been like 3 separate discharge petitions. Maybe you go back slightly longer than that. You have the Epstein discharge petition. Then there was a discharge petition to overturn Donald Trump banning collective bargaining agreement by federal government employees. And then there was this discharge petition to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. But rather than MAGA Mike taking it up immediately after this bipartisan end run around him, because he and Trump are blocking it, he shuts down Congress.
And wasn't this the promise? Wasn't this the promise when the government reopened by the Republicans that the 8, the 7 Democrats and the 1 independent senator were promised on this vote on the ACA? Wasn't this what we were telling you guys, that we shouldn't have accepted and we shouldn't, listen to the promises of Mike Johnson and the GOP because they would absolutely try to fucking screw us? Wasn't this what we were talking about? I can't, it's tough because there's so much that we have to discuss in this show. If this is the exact, example that we were talking about, but it almost seems like we were spot on. It almost seems like exactly what we predicted the GOP and Mike Johnson would do in this instance, even when those fucking senators capitulated, wasn't actually what was going to take place. Sounds like that we were right. Sounds like we were right. Just another reason why, you've been, proven correct for at least spending a little bit of your time here at Blunt Politics. It's definitely paid off in some aspects, and I appreciate you for being here.
You can't get more demeaning and just despicable than that. Well, you can. Donald Trump then held that deranged national address, if you even want to call it that, last night. And what was Donald Trump saying? Donald Trump said, it's the Unaffordable Care Act, and Democrats are the one raising your premiums. They're the ones fighting to raise it, when it's the exact opposite. Donald Trump's tactics are the Putin tactics. Like when Putin goes denazification, right, and makes those vicious lies as pretext to invade Ukraine. Donald Trump goes, it's the Democrats who are raising your premiums. We need to go attack Venezuela because they stole our land. They stole our oil. They're bringing in fentanyl when they're done. What are you even talking about? There's no fentanyl coming out of Venezuela. What land did they steal? What are you talking about?
And again, to fucking last night, as far as I can recall, or I've seen mentioned, Donald Trump didn't even say Venezuela or mention Venezuela once, did he? Now that I'm thinking about it. So not only did we all go into it thinking that it was going to be like this announcement of military action or some like end around Congress to announce a war or something like that, but he didn't even fucking announce it, probably for a specific reason. I'm sure he's heard that it's not too popular what he's been engaging in, and you know his advisors didn't want to put that in the speech. That's just my guess on that one.
Here's what Donald Trump says. Here, play this clip.
Now, in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding.
Speaking of which, can I just go back to this 1 second? I didn't dive into enough of this, but listen to, I'm going to put this back on. This is the Newsmax clip, and forgive me. Listen to the example. Listen to the clip that they play from Donald Trump's speech last night. Check this out. Again, you would think if you're trying to commend Donald Trump for his speaking abilities, right, for saying that he's not scared, for saying that he, said everything correctly, you would find a different part of the speech to play. But again, in the 20 minutes, he flubbed up so much, it's hard to find a spot that he didn't slur or kind of stumble over a word or say a number incorrectly or lie blatantly, right? But listen to this. Listen to this.
Whether it's soccer.
All right, so I'll skip ahead because he talks a little bit more, and then they go on to play a clip, I believe. Yeah, right here, maybe. Hold on. No, Greg Kelly announces it. So, here it is right here. This is the clip that they play from. This is the clip. Listen to this.
I know that the smart said, oh, there he goes again, talking about no one else is doing it, quite frankly. No one can do it as well as he can do it. He doesn't get a fair shake from the fake news, and the fake news, unfortunately, is still dominant. So he's got to do this, Dick, and I think it's almost his responsibility.
Yeah, I think so.
For fuck's sake, where do they play it, you dingleberry? Over here?
400.
All right, here we go. Sorry, here it is. My apologies. This is the wrong part. But listen, this is the one clip that they play in this segment, in this video from Newsmax. Listen to the clip that they chose.
All right, here's a little portion of the speech that we just watched. Take a look.
Tonight, I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this,
1,000, 40,000, and 50,000. Get this. It is 1,400,000 trillion billion thousand. Get this. This is the clip they play. Ready?
That we just watched. Take a look.
Tonight, I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military.
Oh my God. He doesn't even know how to read numbers anymore. 1,450,000, 100,000. Get this. 1 million. Yeah, okay. Give it another shot there, Chief. Give it some time. Reset. Why don't we do that again? But this is the clip they chose to be like, yeah, he's on point, ladies and gentlemen. He was on point last night.
Think of this, 1,450,000.
One more time, please.
Here's a little portion of the speech that we just watched. Take a look.
Tonight, I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military.
Oh, wow. This 1,450,000. No, that don't sound right. Like you can tell he's doing it in his head. Like that didn't sound right at all. But get this. Yeah. 1,000 trillion thousands plus there's a decimal in there somewhere. And I'm pretty sure he was calling from a walkie-talkie because I did hear a niner. Oh, all right. Sorry. I meant to at least play that far in that clip. And for the sake of time, I always get nervous that we're not going to have enough. We're going to run out. So I try to end it a little bit sooner. But that was I love the fact that That's the clip. I don't even know if they noticed that he fucked up. I don't even know if they noticed. I don't even know. They probably don't. All right, let's get back into the Midas Touch clip here.
Those increases, and it's their fault. It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it.
And by the way,
that was another great part. That was another great part. Something that's literally mathematically impossible. Oh, he's promising the American people literally mathematically impossibilities. Oh, fuck. If you don't laugh, you'll cry, right?
way, it shouldn't be lost on us that MAGA Mike Johnson is shutting down the House of Representatives before the day when the Epstein files are set to be released. That's when he's sending all of
and again, I still have yet to hear anybody prove me wrong in my theory that Dan Bongino has just picked this time because he knows the backlash that's going to come from the American people when inevitably Pam Bondi oversteps her boundaries and withholds and redacts more information than she's legally or justifiably allowed to withhold, if at all we see anything further coming from the DOJ before the required release date here. But obviously fishy, not only what Mike Johnson is doing, but again, the timing of Dan Bongino, who we know has been pretty up in arms, pretty upset about the handling, the way this has all gone on, especially how dumb he looks considering how he used to talk about the Epstein files and how, used to be an advocate for wanting to hear any and all information, regardless of who was in it or who it hurt, whatever, so just fishy timing, ladies and gentlemen, just fishy timing. I'm just asking questions.
Members home on a vacation before they're supposed to actually go home in the first place. Now, as MAGA Mike continues to lose control, when he's confronted with the fact that he's going to cause 22 to 24 million Americans to lose health care now by refusing to allow this Affordable Care Act extension, even with this discharge petition, MAGA Mike says, yeah, it's only 7%. 7% of 330 million is 23 million people, as Jonathan Reiner points out. That's a lot of freaking people.
What was his
23 million.
Mike Johnson, Aaron Rupa says, here's the false narrative Democrats are pretending as though this affects everybody in the country. And this is from Mike Johnson. It affects 7% of Americans, this extended subsidy. Again, to just, use that as like a throwaway line, to use that as like, okay, 7% of 330 million isn't a substantial portion or a substantial amount of people is asinine. Like, that is psychotic. That is absolutely fucking psychotic. Like, lock this fucking man up right now. Lock him up, put him in a padded cell, get him one of them big ass fucking white coats with the moms that wrap around in the back and shit. I'm talking about that is fucking psycho. To be like, no, don't worry about it. It's only 7%, right? And again, to hear the 7%, some Republicans might be like, oh, that sounds like a low number. It's single digits. Okay, not knowing that it's 7% of the entire population of people that need fucking healthcare in this country. Jesus Christ, that is just unfucking real for the Speaker of the House, one of the most prominent figures in the GOP to be like, oh, hey, it's a false narrative by the Democrats. Don't think about how many people this affects. It's only 7%. Unfucking real. And then CNBC points out we're talking about 22 to 24 million Americans. And then he goes on to say we're going to help 100% of Americans reduce yada, yada, yada.
In people, as Jonathan Reiner points out, that's a lot of freaking people. And they just poo-poo 23 million people losing their health care and dying. That's why these MAGAs are a death cult, right? I mean, who does this?
I'm sorry, Ben. Pro-life death cult. Get it right. They're the pro-life death cult. You should make that shirt. That's actually a good shirt idea. MAGA, the pro-life death cult.
This clip of MAGA Mike, let's play it right here.
But here's the false narrative. The Democrats are pretending as though this affects everybody in the country. It affects 7% of Americans, this extended subsidy. And of those, even if it was extended without any reforms at all, it would only reduce that small group of Americans' premiums by 5.7%.
So we're talking about reducing any cost. I don't give a fuck what the cost is. I don't care if it's your rent, your insurance. I don't care if it's the fucking babysitter. I don't care if it's your fucking gas, right? I don't give a fuck what it is, the how much you pay for a beer, right? If it's going to come down 5% for 23 million Americans, I'd say that's a pretty good fucking thing. I'd say that's a pretty good fucking thing. Not only that, but, you know, just keeping 20 to 25 million Americans in the position to have health care. You know, as much as we could pick apart the ACA, as many problems and issues and, you know, I don't know, redundancies and shit like that as we could talk about, the fact that it's there is absolutely saving and helping millions and millions of Americans. So to have this this psychotic bastard come on here and be like, don't worry about it. It's only 23 million Americans that would have their health care or their premiums reduced 5%, which is a drastic fucking reduction. For any families at all, again, if it's 5% less on groceries, I'm sure it would be hugely beneficial for everybody in this fucking chat, including myself. If you were to spend 5% less on food, 5% less on whatever, clothes, whatever the fuck it may be, that's going to be a help. A huge help. Not only that, but just the ability to retain the healthcare in and of itself is a huge plus. I mean, this is psycho shit. Psycho shit.
The Democrats have tried to
22
pretend
to
as though
24
this is all
million
about
Americans. No, I understand
we
that this
are,
is not
but-
for everybody, but it's 22 to 24 million Americans, and
It
there
is.
are
It
some
is, and-
Republicans whose districts are going to face some real trouble and some real issues with this. We've talked to some of them. I understand that Mike Lawler from New York was particularly upset yesterday, that he was kind of furious about it, said it's idiotic, it's political malpractice. That's what he told Axios on some of this. They said they could hear him yelling from outside the room yesterday where all of you were meeting.
Well, no. I was in that room with him, and Mike Lawler's one of my close friends. In fact, I was with him in his district in New York City just 2 weeks ago, campaigning for a couple of days, raising him money and helping him get reelected. He's an essential member of our conference and a really smart guy. And what he was...
Again, him telling him how close he is and how he just was campaigning for it only goes to corroborate how pissed off, like how it is, like who it is that's pissed off at Mike Johnson. These aren't like the fucking fringe characters that are normally against Mike Johnson. He's talking about somebody that, you know, he is allegedly close with, allegedly went to campaign for, that Axios just heard screaming and yelling inside of the room during one of their meetings, calling this asinine or whatever the terminology that he used, basically calling Mike Johnson a fucking moron for not calling this vote, saying it was, a malpractice, a dereliction of duty by Mike Johnson. And Mike Johnson's response is, well, that's not right. You didn't hear what you thought you heard. I was actually just campaigning with this guy. We're friends. We're good friends. Just goes to corroborate a little bit more that it is people even close to Mike Johnson, supposedly, that are against his, his decisions on this.
Arguing for is this 7% of Americans. But here's the point. What we're going to do today is the first of multiple steps to help not just 7% of Americans, but 100% of Americans reduce their premiums, actually reduce their premiums, not subsidize insurance companies to raise the premiums, but reduce them. And the first of those
must be one of those little the ideas in the book of ideas that Mike Johnson has. And the what was it? I keep forgetting. What was Donald Trump's statement? He's got he doesn't have theories. He's got what is it? He doesn't have plans or what's he got? Fuck, I always forget what he says. It's probably a good thing that I don't remember any of the Trump terminology, so I don't dumb myself down. What's he got? Concepts of a plan. Excuse me. I knew I was going to get it eventually. He has concepts of a plan. This must be one of their new concepts.
Is today. This is the Lower Premiums for All Americans Act we're going to have on the floor.
Look, magnesium is something most of us lack. Jeffries adhered to a single principle to outflank MAGA Mike Johnson on extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Don't give an inch to Republican moderates looking for an escape hatch. Jeffries got everything he wanted. Frankly, the people got everything they wanted because Jeffries stood on business. Democrats will get a House vote on a 3-year extension on these subsidies without any income caps or offsets. One senior House Democrat told Axios of the leadership's thinking, we're going to have to negotiate with the Senate, but you don't start from a place of weakness. You start from a place of
He's right, but I mean that's a whole nother fucking conversation. Is even if this does somehow make its way past the House, what the fuck happens in the Senate, right? I mean that's another fight we have to engage in.
Strength. You have Democrat Jared Huffman say Jeffries has been validated completely after Democrats started 2025 with a lot of angst and people wondering if we had the medal. Even Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna said he held his ground and we won.
All right. So again, people giving Hakeem Jeffrey his flowers for how he handled this specific situation. Again, credit where credit is due. And again, we can have our discrepancies. We can have our conversations on other areas of Hakeem Jeffries and how he's been policing or leading the Democrats so far. And the same conversations can be had about Chuck Schumer as well. But again, flowers and credit where credit is due on this situation. It looks like there are multiple people here giving him, a pat on the back for the way that he handled this and the outcome, and getting Republicans to again side with Democrats to sign on to get 218 votes to force Mike Johnson to get a House floor vote on this. So good to see. Good reporting here by Ben and Midas Touch. We appreciate it. But yeah, again, this is just psychotic shit from the Republicans trying to, again, make it seem like 23 million Americans is not a substantial portion and that you don't need to worry about it, and basically talking about it as if it doesn't fucking matter at all is, I don't know, beyond psychotic at this point. Like, it's just absolutely murderous shit, like genocidal shit at this point. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. All right, let's dive into, we got about 35 minutes left here, about half hour, so I can get into thanking some people. What do you say we get into some updates from Ukraine? That'd be okay if we can dive into a little bit of what's going on with the Russian economy and maybe a little bit of frontline updates and what Ukraine has been up to in their own strikes. So if we get into, I got one here by the professor, and then I got one here by the military show. So this is titled, "They're Broke, the Shocking Truth of Russia's New Poverty." And again, something that we've been looking forward to. Again, it sounds kind of demonic to say, but, as it relates to sanctions, as it relates to, again, the ongoing strikes by the Ukrainians on the oil refineries and, again, all of the ongoing activities to try to slow down the Russian economy. This is kind of what we've been looking for. And again, it sucks to see that the Russian people, I mean, the side, my humanitarian side, obviously it sucks to see that the Russian people are going to have to struggle. But I don't think it's any different than how they've been struggling, again, outside the big cities in Russia for a long, long time. And again, it's the people inside the St. Petersburgs and the Moscows and the other big cities in Russia that, again, are going to start to have really feel this. Hopefully, those are my hopes, really feel the squeeze, really feel the impacts of this war. And again, not even close, not even in any way on the same page or related to how the Ukrainians have been put in the line of fire and have felt the effects of war, right? I mean, we're not even talking about anything that's comparable. But again, the humanitarian side of me definitely does feel for the innocent Russian civilians that may not want this, that may be, caught in a life just, being brought up in Russia. That's just my humanitarian side, but it is good to see that hopefully finally these sanctions and the impacts of the Ukrainian strikes are starting to have their impacts. So we're starting to see, at least creeping over to the West, those impacts, because you're sure that they've been there, but have also been hidden and been covered up by the Russian government, by propaganda. So again, when it starts to filter into the West, that's, I think, when we can kind of start to see the turn here. But let's get into a little bit of this, and then we'll dive into a little bit of what Ukraine's been up to. So I appreciate you guys. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava. I appreciate everybody who not only watches me to get into, United States politics and what's going on domestically as we continue to cover, but also you guys are involved in what's going on with our geopolitics, what's going on with Ukraine, Palestine, Gaza, that type of thing. So I really do appreciate your admiration. I really do appreciate your you spending time here and diving deep into these hard-hitting subjects and ones that aren't easy to cover. So thank you guys for your passion, and please hit that like button. Thanks, guys.
So the Russian economy is broke. Today is December 18th, 2025. I'm going to go back over about a week's worth. I'm going to start at December 11th and then move to today, just showing you headlines about or news articles about what's actually happening in the Russian economy. I'm not saying the Russian economy is going to fall apart tomorrow. I am saying it almost feels like a self-induced Holodomor within Russia for what is going on. And I know that's powerful language, but I want you to understand just how bad things actually
Again,
are.
anybody that's familiar with the history of the Holodomor knows how vicious kind of that language is, or how distinct and specific, what he's trying to get across is.
In Russia. Let's start here, though. We're going to go and look at this article from Gallup from October, just going back to October to show where it was in October and where it's been just in the last week. Almost 1 in 3 struggle to afford food in Russia. Despite low unemployment, higher salaries, longstanding vulnerabilities persist in the Russian economy. In 2025, 31% of Russians say that they have struggled to afford food for themselves and their families in the past year. Again,
31% of Russians. I mean, again, to just do the quick math of 31% of the population of Russia, and you can start to see what a substantial number you start to come out with there. But he said this figure is in line with the average since 2022, but significantly higher than a decade ago when fewer Russians reported such hardship. So again, since this, excuse me, the full-scale military invasion of Ukraine began since 2022, this number is in line with the amount of Russians that say they've struggled to afford food while the Russian economy has turned to the war footing. Right, how basically every penny, every ruble, every bit of gold that they could possibly scrounge up is going towards weapons, ammunition, military equipment, tires, vehicles, whatever it may be, as opposed to going back into the Russian economy, as opposed to going into the state-owned, companies. Right, they're actually sucking money out of these state-owned companies, whether they're oil, whether they're I'm sure they got state-run supermarkets and all that type of shit as well. Right, they're sucking money out of these things as opposed to, again, generating money and putting the profit back into to build up those businesses, which is again leading to a substantial number of Russians struggling. Again, their pay going down, their taxes that they have to pay go up. Right. We've heard the Russian budgets are a joke. We've heard the amount of taxes that the Russians have to pay in terms of, to the state, obviously has gone up dramatically as well. So these all have, an impact on making the lives more difficult for Russians, which again, sucks to see. But hey, fucking, if you want change, overthrow your government. I don't know what else to tell you.
This was back in October. I believe it was October. Yeah, October 7th of 2025. That's the date of that article. Now, let's go to this past week, 1 week ago. Okay, December 11th, 2025. 2 billion rubles an hour. The Kremlin has increased its war spending by another 30%.
That's fucking massive. That is a massive amount to increase the war spending. I mean, just think, we're talking about Putin is complaining that the NATO countries, just to kind of put this in perspective, Putin is complaining that the NATO countries increased their spending to 5% of their GDP, right? Now, just think about how Russia has now increased their war spending by another 30%. And I don't know if that's based on their GDP or just based on year over year or whatnot, but still a substantial amount to increase what you're spending on this war. Again, as you were struggling to begin with. Again, this, as that previous article said, the Russians have been feeling this effect since the full-scale invasion took place in 2022.
So they're spending on war. They can afford missiles, but they can't afford bread at the same time. December 11th, let's look at this. The longer it sits, the lower the price gets. What are we talking about? We're talking about tankers full of Russian oil. Like, they're sitting out here. The number of the amount of barrels of oil that's just out in the water can't go anywhere because sanctions have done something. Look, when did it change? It changed about the time that U.S. sanctions went on, and it just started going up and up and up and up. Okay.
Which is, again, a signal to say that those particular sanctions on the, whatever that particular area was on those particular ships or those particular companies was having a dramatic effect. Like, it's doing what it was made to do. And again, I know a lot of people are kind of unsatisfied with the speed in which sanctions have an impact. And I know there's a conversation that people could have to say, do sanctions have enough of an impact where it's, it's justified to even implement them, right? And again, I find that to be a ridiculous argument. I think that they absolutely should be used and wielded as weapons in certain situations. I think we have abused, as the United States, those kind of sanctions to certain countries, and we've kind of done more harm than good, absolutely, in some of those instances. But still, if they're used in the correct way for the correct enemy at the correct moment, they definitely do have the impact. Again, that it could just another added area to make it more difficult for that country to, advance their war goals.
December 11th. Again, and that is going to hurt their budget and hurt their ability to be able to do other social services. Here's December 11th. Nearly 60% of Russian regions have a hole in their budgets of over 600 billion rubles, almost 11 times more than in 2022. That's just that was reported in the Russian papers on December 11th. On December,
that's wild. That's wild. So 60% of Russian regions have a hole in their budgets over 600 billion rubles. Almost 11 times more than in 2022. That's wild.
barely enough or not enough money
More than
before
40% of working Russians surveyed have barely enough or not enough money before payday for food or essential goods. I'll read that again. More than 40% of working Russians that work, have barely enough or not enough money before payday for food or essential goods. So again, people working less than paycheck to paycheck, right? Just not even getting by paycheck to paycheck anymore with not only what they're being paid by but also compared to add on what the state's taking out in taxes as well.
payday for food and essential goods. Okay. Yeah, that's where they are. December 12th. I saw this and I thought, went down to this. Okay, listen, Ukraine beat its wartime inflation forecast in November. Inflation fell. The operative word here is fell to 9.3%, helped by record harvests that slashed borscht vegetable prices by over 50%. Butter and cheese are easing too, but the cushion is fragile. It fell to 9.3%. If inflation was 9.3%, in where I am in the United States or where you are in Canada or Europe or Australia or wherever you're watching from, you'd be going crazy. It fell to 9.3%. I mean, that's just, it's unbelievable. And that's going to put pressure on the price of food and other things. And that's what's causing this. December 12th, we see this headline. Well, let's read this from Jane Key first. A new level of impoverishment is setting in as more companies can no longer pay workers. Here
it says the situation is very dire. Shift workers in Russia are facing massive delay in their wages. So not only have we heard that the families of the soldiers that are being thrown into the meat grinder in Ukraine, especially the ones that have been killed on the battlefield. And again, the families are supposed to receive basically a stipend from the military for their, for their services, for their sacrifices, whatever it may be. The families weren't getting them, right? The families weren't receiving those. They weren't receiving the benefits that they were fucking allotted, nothing like that. So now it's actually gotten so bad that the workers in Russia are getting their wages delayed. So not only, even if they were getting paid on time, would they not have enough money before the payday to feed their families, to have enough food for themselves. But now it's getting so bad that they're not even getting paid on that day they don't have money on anyway. It's actually being delayed further. And I'm sure in some instances for a long period of time, if not indefinitely. And you got people now just working for free, basically just, 2025 slave labor in Russia, apparently.
the situation is dire. Shift workers in Russia are facing massive delays in their wages. And it's not just that. I saw an article last week and I couldn't find it. I was trying.
And these are all areas that we wouldn't really be privy to without this reporting. Like we wouldn't understand or know how bad it is for the Russians, how many of the Russians don't have or make enough money, how there are these, wage delays. In different aspects. So to cover this stuff gives us good insight. And again, to further the argument for sanctions, to tell people and to let people know, hey, the sanctions are working. So we're not so anxious or aggravated that we're not seeing that like complete and total collapse. But we are seeing in a variety of aspects of the Russian life, the impacts having, a major effect on the people.
To retrace my steps and I just couldn't find it. But it was like Russia moving to a 6-hour day. And Greg, Terry, and I were on the phone.
So let's dive into, I just want to throw this one on. So just to not run out of time, I also want to dive into what the Ukrainians have been up to, because this is titled Another Great Night for Ukraine. War erupts deep inside of Russia. So I also want to make sure that we continuously highlight not only what's going on inside of the borders of Ukraine, but also the successes and the missions that Ukraine is undertaking in striking targets inside of Russia as well. We need to make sure that we're doing justice to both the defense that the Ukrainians are putting up and also the offensive missions as well. So let's dive into a little bit of this. Got about 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll get into thanking everybody for their kind contributions, whether up here on Venmo. Again, you can send in just a buck or two. I don't ask for anything substantial. I really don't. I hide nothing behind a paywall, guys. I don't sell you anything. There's no corporate sponsors, nothing. It is totally 100% funded by you guys, the audience. And I can't really thank you enough ever for, being as generous and kind as you are and helping independent creators, not only myself, but other people as well. I see all of you guys inside the different chats. I am a chatter myself, but, first and foremost, I am in these chats talking and listening and engaging with different people. So, that's why I represent myself as one of you guys, and I really do appreciate you guys for sticking with me. But yeah, so there's Venmo, there's also a PayPal. You can sign up for a membership at YouTube here just underneath me, or you can sign up at patreon.com at any one of the 3 levels. We have our Zoom meeting tonight, the VIP Zoom tonight. So if you sign up at the VIP level, you get access to that Zoom link. That's literally the only thing that requires a subscription or a membership in any way, shape, or form. Is basically just the twice a month Zoom meeting that lets you put kind of a face behind the screen names of the people in the chat, and it just lets you get to know the people in the chat a little bit better. We just kind of shoot the shit, talk about everyday life, your cats, your dogs, the weather, whatever it may be, and it's kind of a cool way to again engage with the chat a little bit more intimately, as I say. But yeah, let's dive into this. I appreciate you guys. Let's go. Heroyam Slava.
2025, it's clear that Ukraine has a very simple strategy that it's executed with increasing precision as the year has progressed. Take out Russia's oil, along with as much of its gas as possible, and you sap the money that the Kremlin needs to sustain the brutal invasion of Ukraine. Russia has been feeling the impact of Ukraine's strategy all year, and Ukraine just keeps on coming. In another great night for Ukraine, war has erupted deep inside Russia due to Ukraine's long-range weapons once again scoring direct hits on their targets. Vladimir Putin has just received the message loud and clear: nowhere in Russia is safe. On December 17th, the Kyiv Post reported that fires and explosions had occurred all over Russia in the wake of yet another long-range Ukrainian drone strike. Several cities were targeted, with 2 of the most important being Slavyansk on Kuban and the suburb of Yeysk in Krasnodar Krai during the early hours of the morning. Injuries have been sustained, as the emergency response center that serves the latter city claims. It says that at least 2 people have been injured, with 5 homes also being damaged due to falling drone debris.
See if we can kind of zoom in on maybe the area in which, or at least one of the areas. Here's Krasnodar Krai, so we can see basically, I'll see if I can draw. Basically, I'll keep my mouse there so you can see in relationship where we're talking about here. Kyiv being way up here to the north. The area of Pokrovsk that where the fighting is taking place is in this general vicinity. So we're talking about pretty far south here, almost in the Republic of Adygya, or Krasnodar, which is again another one just south of Rostov-on-Don. So just to kind of give you a general vicinity of where the specific strikes are that he was just referencing is right in this area here. So just to kind of point it out on the map, as we like to do.
Though it appears that there are no deaths reported yet. These minor casualties weren't Ukraine's goal. Russia's oil and energy infrastructure was what Ukraine intended to hit, and hitting that infrastructure is precisely what Ukraine achieved on December 17th. Ukraine's successful strikes didn't escape the attention of Russia's non-mainstream media, as the Russian military blogger channel SHOT reported on the carnage that Ukraine caused. Citing local civilians, SHOT took to Telegram to explain just how encompassing Ukraine's attack on the Slavyansk district was. Local residents told SHOT that the attack lasted for at least 3
My apologies. Sorry. My dad's going to give me a text in any second now saying, hey, you asshole, you're muted. But again, what I was saying is I'm kind of surprised at this point that Putin hasn't really cracked down more on the Russian Telegram channels, because a lot of the confirmation that comes, like a lot of the, the firsthand views of these strikes from Ukraine comes out by the way of Russian cell phone footage, right? And they just post it on Telegram, or they post it on Russian social media. And that gives Ukraine a great ability to surf those channels and to be like, okay, this is how effective this was, right? Or, this is what we actually did hit as opposed to what we attempted to hit. We can adjust this much, or, okay, that's been taken out. That target's all set. We can now use and utilize our, our ammunition, our drones on another target. Like I'm surprised they really haven't cracked down, considering the way that they've cracked down on free speech and protesting and different other social media. It's surprising to me they really haven't taken hold of this whole Telegram aspect of this war as well. But sorry, guys, my apologies for being muted on that one. My apologies.
Hours, they heard at least 18 explosions. Following the attack, a fire broke out at Slavyansk on Kuban. The channel also said that Russia's Ministry of Defense had claimed that the country's air defense forces managed to destroy 94 Ukrainian drones during the December 17th attack, with the only damage the channel reported being some minor damage to the Slavyansk power grid. So Russia claims that Ukraine's drone assault was unsuccessful. As is so often the case, Russia appears to be lying. Other reports emerging from the locations that Ukraine targeted claim that the country's drones scored direct hits on several targets.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make sense for the Kremlin, for Moscow to come out with this fucking bullshit to say it wasn't, while at the same time their own citizens are posting on Telegram the footage of the explosions, the footage of the huge ball of flames, the footage of the burning oil facility, right? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You'd think that, somebody as authoritarian, as dictatorial as Vladimir Putin would recognize that as a weakness. But then again, you would also assume that they would identify their ridiculous military tactics that have been, again, responsible for the incredible death toll that they've seen thus far, and they would change those tactics, but they refuse to implement any changes or any major changes to what the Russian military has been doing for quite some time. And so, again, what else do you expect from them?
Including at least one Russian oil refinery that uncoincidentally happens to be in the Slavyansk district, where drones have been sighted. Countering Russia's attempts to conceal the scale of the strike in Slavyansk, Ukraine's general staff also
look
took
at the size of those plants. You know what I mean? Like, just look at the size of this fucking facility. I mean, it reminds me of, remember the Azov Steel facility that the Ukrainians kind of retreated back into? I mean, that facility was just enormous, and it stood as a great defensive structure. But Jesus Christ, just look at the size of these fucking plants and shit. It's unbelievable.
Russia's attempts to conceal the scale of the strike in Slavyansk, Ukraine's general staff also took to Telegram to explain what really happened in Slavyansk on Kuban. Far from a strike that injured a handful of civilians and broke a few windows in apartment buildings, Ukraine's attack targeted an oil refinery that is among the largest in Russia. On the night of December 17, 2025, units of the defense forces used deep strike weapons to strike the infrastructure of the Slavyansk oil refinery in the city of Slavyansk on Kuban in the Krasnodar region of Russia, the general staff confirmed. Before adding, explosions and a fire were also reported in the target area. The extent of damage to the facility is being assessed.
Let me see if we can go. What did you say here? It was the Slavyansk on Kuban. Slavyansk. Let me see if we can pull that up on the map. See if we can actually pull up that exact refinery. So let's see. Slavyansk oil refinery. I don't know if you can pull it up that way on this map, but we shall try. Nothing found. Let me see if I got on Google Maps then. Google Maps. Hey, Google. Hey, Google. Tell me you guys have seen that. Hey, Google. Now let me go to Google Maps. Share this tab instead. Pull up the Slavyansk oil refinery. Let's see what happens. Get this out of the way. Where are we? So we're in this area here. Where's the... Oh, here it is. Looks like it's over here. Look at the size of it. Jesus Christ. right? So he just said it was one of the largest in Russia. I mean, you can see the scale of this, which looks to be, you know, if you kind of follow the outline here, I'm sure all of these kind of have something to do with it, right? There's probably the containers and all of the facilities. Here's the tanks. You can see the trains, right? Here's the trains. Look at the size of the trains. Jesus Christ. So a substantial facility here, to say the least. More tanks, obviously. And then just to kind of zoom out to give us an idea. So that's basically what we're talking. Holy shit. Right? That's the city. And you can tell it's not that substantial portion of that. But check out where we are. Check out where we are. And that'll just kind of give you an idea. So that's the area in which we're talking about. And then this is the actual spot of the attack here. Always good to see. It's always pretty cool to see on Google Maps, at least. Does it give you the street view? Yeah, okay. Here's a little street view. So there's the facility right there. Can you go ahead? How do you go ahead? I don't know how to use this. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh my God, is that a ladder? Where'd it go? Did I pass it? Did I pass it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd that truck just go? Would it drive by? How is that possible? It's a map. It's gone. Okay, so I can't go any further that way. But again, you can kind of get the scale, the scope of the unit here. See if we can go down this way. What do these trucks say? Can you get a name on these trucks? What's that say? It says Dorenbos. Dorenbos. Doorenbos. Whatever the fuck that means. And this one is unmarked. But again, huge fucking facility here. Huge fucking facility. All right, so my apologies. I just wanted to, I like checking it out on the map. I like seeing where these things are, exactly where the strikes are taking place, how effective they are. So let's dive back into this one before I get you guys out of here.
Of Russia, the General Staff confirmed, before adding, explosions and a fire were also reported in the target area. The extent of damage to the facility is being assessed. The last statement reveals that nobody knows yet if the Slavyansk refinery has been taken offline by Ukraine's drones. However, the General Staff accompanied his post with a photograph of that refinery in flames as evidence that Russia suffered from far more than a handful of drone debris incidents during the early hours of December 17th. More evidence of the scale and success of Ukraine's drone assault comes from the Exilanova Plus Telegram channel. The channel posted a pair of videos alongside a single caption reading, Slavyansk on Kuban. Locals report that the oil refinery is actually on fire. Both of the videos back that claim up.
This is locals reporting. You know what I mean? So you would assume that they would kind of learn their lesson on giving Ukraine the ability to confirm the success of these strikes. Again, without these videos, there would be no way for, the Ukrainians might know due to their intelligence, due to their knowledge. But as far as us trying to corroborate how effective these strikes were, it would be very hard a lot of the time without the Russians themselves posting this shit on Russian Telegram.
Lasting literally 2 seconds shows the bright light of a blaze captured from what appears to be a field outside of the Slavyansk oil refinery.
You can actually see there. I don't know if you guys could see, but you can see the tracer fire. It's kind of tough with the watermark in there, but if you look real closely, you can actually
both of the videos back that claim up.
You can actually see the tracer fire of the air defenses trying to shoot down whatever type of drone.
The first, lasting literally 2
seconds,
shows the bright light of a blaze captured
right here. So if you look right in this area, you can still see the two. See these two right here? One here, one here, one here, one here. So check that out. Can I slow it down? Maybe I can slow it down for you guys. Playback speed, I'll do 0.5%, right? I'll go back 2 seconds, and then you guys will be able to see it, right? Check this out.
Both of the video, in literally 2 seconds, shows the bright light of a blaze captured from what appears to be a field outside of the Slavyansk.
So you can see the tracer fire just in the background. So they're obviously shooting at something pretty substantially on that one.
Oil refinery. As for the second, it lasts a little bit longer at 29 seconds, and the clear sound of Russian air defense guns are heard in the background. Toward the end of the video, there's a massive explosion. We don't see the fire that the explosion caused. But putting 2 and 2 together, it's clear that the attack filmed in the second video led to the blaze seen at the Slavyansk oil refinery in the first video and in the General Staff's photograph. Assuming that the refinery has just been hit hard by Ukraine, this could be yet another major
And
gunshot.
again, given further confirmation to be like, okay, we can connect the first video with the second video, and we can determine that, yes, that was that exact strike that led to that exact fire that we saw in the first video. And obviously the Russians are lying about, no impacts, no damage done, and that sort of thing, which again gives us the ability to call out the Russians, prove them wrong, show that they're lying, show that they're propagandists. And that's all due to the fact that their own Russian citizens just cannot stop. They cannot help themselves but post this shit. As I'm sure a lot of fucking people would without thinking right away. They got a good clip for social media. They put it up there. Next thing you know, they got the fucking, they got the Kremlin knocking on their door. All right, let's see if I can get you guys out of here. I appreciate you guys very much. I'm going to hop into the old Venmos just so I can thank anybody that may have sent a buck or two over to help keep the show going. Because like I keep saying, that's how we run here at Blunt Politics. We are not funded by anybody. We are not selling you guys anything. We're not hiding anything behind a paywall to make you guys come out of pocket, to make sure that you guys can fucking see my content. Nothing frustrates me more than a channel that was free for a long time, but then all of a sudden decides to put everything behind a paywall. And that leaves the people that have been watching them the longest out in the dock if they don't have, again, the funds to sign up for the membership, or to sign up for this, or to sign up for that. Like, I don't think it's fair that you guys would be missing out on any, content or opinions or news or anything like that because you don't have $1 or $2 to spend. I find that to be asinine. But unfortunately, the position that I put myself in here as a content creator, I have to do the self-promotional bullshit, the self-promotional side of this. So let's log into the Venmos. Let's make sure we thank the people, because I want to make sure that you guys are appreciated the way that you should be. So that goes for Nancy and Yakov again. So that was from yesterday. I really do appreciate you guys. Nancy for the 20, Yakov, thank you so much for your donation as well. Jenny Faye from the other day. You guys have been fantastic. Karen, going back a couple days, I really do appreciate it. Thank you to anybody that may have sent over a PayPal. I don't know if I can access that through my phone right this second, but thank you to everybody that has sent over that, or a Cash App, whatever it may be. It goes a long way in helping this channel stay on the airwaves, so to speak. So let's hop over to the YouTube side of things and make sure we're thanking people there as well. First and foremost, Mark, thank you so much, brother. He says presidential screech to the people. Right. It was anything. It was completely opposite, and well, it was completely expected because of what we know from Donald Trump, but completely unexpected to what people were kind of predicting it was going to be about. Right. So again, it took me about 3 seconds when we popped in live to recognize that it wasn't going to be some like substantial announcement, and then it literally just was an Adderall fueled Truth Social post on steroids that was filmed for the nation to see. That's all it was. That's all it was. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Gargoyle King 529 for the $2. I really appreciate that. Cowboy Trump is a Lakembe kid. A huge FU to MAGA. I appreciate that. Thank you for the $2 contribution. Thank you for being here in the chat. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for watching the show. I really do appreciate seeing new names, old names. I like seeing it all. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. WW, I appreciate that. 94-year-old uncle called me last night. GOP doesn't love Trump, but missed you both, and the speech, which I watched at 1.5 speed, buzzed. Oh, so you're saying that's why you couldn't catch it. I get you. Well, I hope your 94-year-old uncle is well. Tell him everybody here at Blunt Politics said hello. We appreciate you. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you for getting through Trump's speech at 1.5 speed. And I don't think the only way you can do it is buzzed at this point. I'm pretty sure. Thank you, WW. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Ladain. Let's go, brother. Santa Dog. Let's go. Lolita is about the obsessive. Yeah, it's a right, so I'll let you say it. So Lolita is about the obsessive, manipulative, and abusive relationship between a middle-aged professor and his 12-year-old stepdaughter, Lolita. Right, and I do believe, wasn't there a similar movie that was made on that, or am I thinking of something else? Was there a movie made based on that book? And I thought it won a couple of awards or something like that. I forget. I thought there was something along those lines of a movie about a prostitute, if I'm not mistaken. but do forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But say thank you so much, brother, for the 5. Thank you for the information on that. And it definitely absolutely goes hand in hand and makes total sense when you talk about it like that, what the book was about. What it was pictured in, where it was represented, the writings on the girls, that type of thing. So thank you for that insight. Thank you for the information. Really do appreciate you. Thank you, Mark. Again, dude, let us celebrate America at 250 years by providing the people better access to healthcare. A fucking men, brother. A fucking men. And I do appreciate you for putting that out there. And thank you, Deb, for the 1 gifted. And thank you, JD. I really do appreciate you guys. I will see you guys. What's today? Thursday. So I'll see you tomorrow for the Friday show. Same time, same place, 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. here on the West Coast. Just hit the notification bell. It gives you an alert on your phone or whatever device you use. Let you know when I go live. Let you know when I put out a short. I've been trying to do a lot more shorts and short videos and stuff like that from the live. So it would do a lot of help. It would give me a lot of help and a big boost if you guys could go over to the channel and just kind of like or share some of these shorts and videos that I've been doing. I really do thank you guys for all of your support and your help. For some reason, Facebook just kicked me off, and I don't know why, but we're at the end of the show anyway. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 2 p.m. East Coast, 11 a.m. here on the West Coast. Thank you so much to the mods, and thank you so much to the most fantastic chat on social media. I can't thank you enough. I wouldn't be here without you, and I can't wait to continue to grow with your help. We're on our way to 20K here, and again, it's only with the help and assistance of you guys that we're able to do so. So thank you, mods. Thank you to the best chat ever. I really do appreciate you guys. Continuous happy holidays from everybody here at Blunt Politics. And again, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you're staying safe out there. I'll catch you tomorrow. Yep. So we got a show every Friday now. Every Friday, 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. here on the West Coast. We'll be on every Friday. Added a new show for anybody that's new, anybody that hasn't been here in a while. Oh, and I'll see everybody at the VIP Zoom chat. Hold on 1 second. All right. So, yes, we do have a Friday show. Just to answer your question, DP. We have added a Friday show. We'll be on every single Friday from now on. So we're going to be continuously adding more shows as you guys, hopefully continuously watch and like and share and subscribe. And that show, as long as we keep growing, I'll keep adding content for you guys. And also not to forget the schedule and the Zoom tonight. So we got the VIP Zoom tonight. And just for anybody that wants to take a kind of a screenshot of your screen right now is the new schedule that we got for Blunt Politics. So take a screenshot, or, if you don't want to do that, just hit the notification bell, and that will kind of, like I said, let you know when I go live. So I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you for the question. Thank you for reminding me. And yes, every Friday. So that's the new schedule. Be here, be square, or we're going to call your ass out. I'm just kidding. I won't do that. But I will see you tomorrow. Appreciate you. Thanks, guys. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody. Herojem slava. Thank you, Karen. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate you, Pops. Feeling better, buddy. Thanks to Tilly popping in as well. I know. I knew you were going to give me something. You're always going to give me. You're always there to keep me in line. I appreciate it. I love you.
For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
Well, thank you, Shockey. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that a lot. Call that pure class. That's pure class. Guys, I'll see you tomorrow. I appreciate it. Thank you so much to Mod and thank you to the best chat on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitch, and Facebook. Yeah, that one. I'll see you later, guys. I'm gonna go have a hot dog.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
No, I'm lying. I think I might just go play some baseball.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
Well, what the fuck? What if I wanted to fight uphill?
Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
Thank you, Vinny. Thank you so much, Vinny. And thank you so much to Gamer. You guys are appreciated. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Vin. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I'll see all the Zoomers tonight, all right? Appreciate you guys. Peace.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.